Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vladimir Verkhoshinsky. I'm a board member of VTB Bank, responsible for retail business, and it's my pleasure to be the moderator of this discussion this year. Today we're going to talk about, in my opinion, a very complex subject. Dialogue in the city. How do city administrations communicate with citizens? Being a citizen myself, I just feel that it's not a simple task for the city to communicate with citizens. It's not that city need to talk to the whole crowd and the city as a group of individuals. It's more like not talking to the forest, it's more like talking to each individual tree, unless we want to make, if we want to make our citizens happy. And in many respects, the way city administrations must communicate with citizens looks like commercial organizations must communicate with their clients. We as a bank make sure that we are so clear in understanding what our clients want and communicating back to them and giving them back, and in return we make profits. Cities likewise, if they are very successful in getting the feedback from their citizens and communicating effectively to citizens, they will get citizens voting for the cities, willing to live and stay there. So our experts today gathered from both government and commercial institutions, representing practitioners and people who are more advanced in the theoretical side of the question we're discussing today. And we're going to talk today about the tools that city administrations create all over the world that allow citizens to communicate with city and that allow gather the feedback and build on this feedback. With this, let me introduce our speakers today. Start from Evgeny Kozlov, a good friend of mine who is Deputy Chief of Staff at Moscow government, but to me he is basically the head of all innovative and digital, including digital communication in Moscow. Zohar Sharon, Chief Knowledge Officer in Tel Aviv Municipality. Francesca Bria, Chief Technology Officer in Barcelona City. Jeff Malgan, CEO of Nesta, which is a large innovation foundation. And Natalia Rin, who is a Project Manager IoT, who doesn't know, Internet of Things, Project Manager at Helsinki. I think with having 5 speakers today and having 1 hour of time, it's a pretty comfortable schedule. So let's have 8 to 10 minutes for each presentation. We agreed not to interrupt each other during the presentation, but all the questions you guys have and each panelist have to each other, we may address at the very end if we have some time left. And with this, let me start with you, Evgeny. Moscow is a host of this forum this year, and from what I personally observe, Moscow does a lot lately in terms of creating different channels of communicating to the citizens and getting back the information of citizens, making citizens involved in decisions that Moscow government makes. Tell us how it's done in Moscow.
Thank you. It will be a surprise that we also speak in English. Let me firstly in Russian greet all the audience. Спасибо вам, что пришли. Надеюсь, мы сегодня...
Thank you very much that you came. I will also speak about a lot of wonderful things about communication. We gathered excellent panel of experts today. They are experts in their areas, and I hope that our communication will be very fruitful. I would like also to hear about the experience of our colleagues. Maybe we'll also copy these best practices.
And present the Moscow experience about the communicating. I will focus on digital communication that now develops in Moscow. Firstly, the principles. We think that the Moscow government and the Moscow policy in communication should be people and citizen oriented. So, Moscow is constantly developing to the following principles. Let the magic begins. Magic, magic. No magic in here.
No.
Please help me with the magic.
No,
Oh
honey.
yeah, areas of development. So the magic begins. So, what are the areas of development in communication, in digital particular communication we hear in Moscow? The second magic, the second stage of magic. Sorry for this technical. We are really smart city, but not in that particular. Oh yeah. Too much, too fast. Sorry, I will switch into Russian. Куда мне направлять?
Where should I direct this? I feel like a Harry Potter, who is using a magic wand instead of the clicker. I have a problem. I will say.
Something like that. So can you please turn back to the first slide? To the first slide. Yes, the areas of development. The areas of development are the following. We understand that we should focus on the information. We should create a platform. We should give a choice of how to communicate. We should respond, and we should be personal to our citizens. How we do that? Next slide, please. Let us start from the communication. Next slide, please, will be the most used word in my presentation, So, we know and we understand that we will, if we just communicate and we don't hear the people's voice, it will be a one-way street. We cannot afford ourselves to be a one-way street in communication. So, we expect and we really want our citizens to be active and give their feedbacks on our steps and our managerial decisions. So, the key policy, the key trends in communication is to build a two-way street with our citizens. Next, we understand that the smart city, if we want to build a smart city, we should not only invest in IT sphere. As we discussed before our session, smartness is the loyalty, is the trust of our citizens to the government. So we are now transforming the city, trying to find the loyalty and to earn the loyalty from our citizens. Next slide, please. So we expect that we are together with the active citizens will transform our city in every sphere, in healthcare, in education, in renovation of the city, especially about our new project of renovation the housing, of 5-story housing that will concern more than 1 million people. We will demolish and rebuild new houses for more than 1 million citizens within 15 years in Moscow. Then we know, next slide please, about the information. You can see on the back side of that presentation the main one and only portal of Moscow government, mos.io. It's like some kind of umbrella. Google. Russian people know our major web portal Yandex. You may have heard about that. It's not like an ecosystem. After the front end, you may find different services, even for e-commerces, maybe maps or something like that. The same theory, the same tendency for mos.io. That's online services, governmental services for our citizens, news, some calendars, when we see the events of Moscow in here, and maybe some special projects. For example, for now we will have our anniversary in Moscow, the Moscow City Day. 870 years we will celebrate this year. So we'll make some special landings, some special project. The key idea, the core idea is to develop the one-stop shop for our citizen in digital sphere to get all the necessary information from one thing. But we understand that, next slide please, if we just invest billions of rubles in one web site, we won't achieve the final idea, the final goal, to provide the necessary information to every citizen. As Vlad mentioned before, we should not speak to the wood, no, in symbolic way, you know, but to every person. If I spend maybe, for example, 1 hour or 2 hours in my social network, I should be, as the government services, in social network, not to build just my own website, my own mobile application, but to be in the behavior, in the scenario of living of my citizen, to get my information to him and to get the feedback from that particular person to me. So, we are not only the web portal and the basis of our communication to be in the people's scenario of living, to be maybe in social networks like Facebook and Twitter, you know, but also in our local social media, in messengers, everywhere when people live, where they use, what they use, to make a more convenient communication with the people. Then, next slide, please. So, we are, as I mentioned before, we are working not in vacuum. I mean the political vacuum. We are working in society. So, we should hear the voice of citizens. What are their needs? And we should catch their needs, catch their ideas, catch their feedbacks and complaints. So, we have different tools of catching that idea, not only in social networks. But, you know, as for Moscow government, be in social network, be proactive in social network is a really challenge. You can imagine that, for example, 20 years we were just writing press releases. No, that's all. Write news, then we post it, and that's all. The end of communication. That won't work. And as for now, it doesn't work now. We should understand and hear the feedback for our news, for example. Or, for example, we get a new pay parking system in new district. What are the thoughts of the citizen about this pay parking system in their districts? How can we collect their voices? Firstly, we have our governmentally developed platforms. We call it Our City platform. It is a web site and it is a mobile app. Our guests may know it, Portal Nash Город. We are working for 5 years and we collect complaints for problems that can be fixed. Then, you know, we have our voting platform. We call it Active Citizen. When we have the choice what to do, this or maybe another, to go to another step, we just make a voting process. Within 2 or 3 years, we ask citizens whether they want, how do they want to do a particular topic. On that way, for example, to go to the yellow line or maybe to the red line. Then we just ask our citizen in crowdsourcing way, how do they want to develop some particular sphere, for example, the healthcare, what do they need? But it is, Francesca, you know, it is only online. We heard a lot about the offline communication and the mixture of offline and online communication. In order, if you want to see every person, maybe elderly person who do not use online projects, we should mix. And we see that the window of opportunity to be offline on the same question. Thank you for that topic you gave us. So, then, how we respond? I told you before that to respond quickly, to respond properly, you should make a center of competence who monitor and answer and collect the best practices and fix the system, who adjust the system. The last topic was about the renovation. You know, in Russia, particularly in Moscow, I told it to my guests, it was a really controversial point and hot agenda about the discussing the strategy, the architecture, the parameters of new renovation process in Moscow. And if we saw, for example, 3 similar questions on the same topic, our Department of IT, and here the representatives of Department of IT who monitor all the internet, the Moscow segment of internet, people is discussing the special topic about the renovation. Maybe 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 person is discussing that topic. They monitor it. They gave that highlight. We just find the answer and make this answer public, not directly to that person who discussing, but if we see that it is interesting for everyone, we just collect this topic to our library of answers. So we should respond like the commercials do. You know, maybe in like in Tel Aviv, they have the CRM for like commercials do in their governmental service. We will build the same CRM in customer relation management system in Moscow to collect all the necessary data to be more convenient for you, for the citizens. For example, I know that my driving license is for 10 years. I know the year when it is expired, but I don't know the date, the particular date. I don't remember that date. And if the policeman stops me and my driving license will be expired, it will be a fine. Maybe I can even go to jail. I don't want so. So my Department of IT of the city will give me some kind of push notification. Please make a new driving license. We should be proactive. And how we can be proactive? We should firstly collect the data. We should make some kind of profile of the citizen and then proactively get the new services, online services, digital or offline services, whenever. So these are main points of digital communication between the city and the citizens. Let me just say it once again. It's not a one-way street. We should hear, we should respond, and we should react and adjust. So they're the key major principles of communication in the city. Thank you.
Thanks, Evgeny. Thank you very much. Yeah, you've just reminded me how time really flies. I remember that it was just like yesterday, 850 years anniversary of Moscow. Now it's 870. And it's such a big progress, and Moscow really turns into a smart city. But talking about smart cities, we need to acknowledge that several years ago, it was Tel Aviv who was awarded the Best Smart City Award, which actually happened in Barcelona, but to Barcelona we'll turn later. So, Mr. Sharon, it's an interesting platform that you've built in Tel Aviv, and I think there's a lot in common between what you've done and what commercial organizations do, called digital. Don't confuse with digital. Like, it's a nice, smart way to brand your platform. Tell us about this platform and its prospects, please.
Okay. Hi. Do you have a microphone that I can stand? The click?
Only clicker, no microphone.
Just my click, not microphone?
What?
It's supposed to work, but it's not working. No, it's not working. But you have a mic? Yeah.
We've been sitting there in a conference room preparing for our panel for half an hour, so it's
hello.
desire to walk.
Hi, everybody. My name is Zohar Sharon. I'm the Chief Knowledge Officer of Tel Aviv Municipality, Israel. I'm glad to be here in Moscow. I think you have a great city. Great city. I've traveled yesterday in the Red Square and so on. I want to... now it's working? Let's see. Okay. Wow. High tech. Okay. So, actually, as my friend said here, in 2014, Tel Aviv won the best smart city in the world. In Barcelona, the lady from Barcelona is there. And we won not because of we are the best smart city in the world. We don't think that we are the best smart city in the world. We won because how we are engaging our citizens, how we are making smart engagement with our citizens. This is the most important thing we think. And in the last 10 years, Tel Aviv had made Tel Aviv digital transformation. We took the municipality from non-digital to full digital. So 10 years ago, you had to enter the municipality, you had to come, you had to stand in line, you had to do a lot of things by phone, by fax, by all kinds of things. And now today in Tel Aviv, you almost can do everything from online, and you don't have to come to the municipality. And we made a lot of government-to-government projects, government-to-citizens projects, and citizen-to-citizen projects, okay? Government-to-government project, we are saying in order to engage citizens, first of all, you have to make a government engagement internally, in the municipality, in the government. The employees themselves have to share themselves knowledge and information between each other. After it, you can give it to citizens, okay? This is the municipality of Moscow. This is the municipality of Tel Aviv. This is the municipality of London. This is the municipality of Barcelona. A lot of silos. Silos and silos. Department of Public, Department for Parking, Department of Health, Department of Sport, Department of Taxes. So the citizen has to engage all of these silos. I'm going to the Department of Education. They are asking me what's my name, what's my email, what's my phone, and then I'm going to the tax department. They're asking me what's my name, what's my email, what's my phone. And you're asking yourself as a citizen, do they not know I was in the municipality? Do they not know my email, my phone? No, they do not know, because the municipality is working in silos. So, first of all, you have to make a culture of sharing between the citizens themselves. Not the citizens, sorry, the employees themselves. They have to exchange between each other information and knowledge. And then you can go to your citizens, okay? So, if you think from a citizen point of view, not from the municipality point of view, the citizen don't care if there is a Department of Education, or there is a Department of Water, and there is a Department of Welfare. He doesn't care about it. He wants to get services from one place. So we took the website of Tel Aviv, we threw away all the old website, we built again a website from a perspective of a citizen, not a perspective of a unit. The citizen don't care who gives him, but he wants to get these services. So how can we help you? And we combine all the information from all the silos that you saw in one place, okay? So a lot of transparency. Everything in the website of Tel Aviv is open. All the decision, all the regulations, all the budget, open budget, everything is open. And a lot of e-services. A lot of e-services that you can do from home and so on. But we, like 6 years ago, thought that we are the best smart city in the world and the best city in the world. Because we have a lot of online services, because we have a great city and so on. We made some focus groups with our citizens. We asked them 2 questions. First question was, what do you think about the city of Tel Aviv? So they said, it's a great city, we love the city, it's the best city in the world. The second question was, what do you think about the municipality of Tel Aviv? Terrible, bad, bureaucrats, don't care about us, they care about themselves and so on. So we asked them, how can it be? The city is great, the municipality is terrible, okay? So we understood that it's not enough to give good services and information. This is our job, okay? We have to give information according to actually citizens' needs. What do they need just now, okay? So we said in every moment, important moment in life, the city is with you and for you. Think about the circle of life. Think about you are sitting now in a room. Maybe you are a young parent, maybe you are an old person, maybe you have children, maybe you have not children, and so on. Everyone who is sitting in this room have different subjects, have different issues, and if we as a municipality can relate to and focus on each resident, this is the power that we can do and to engage in a better way with our citizens, okay? So we took the municipality from a reactive municipality to intelligently active municipality. Reactive municipality is giving you great services when you want, it's okay. Intelligently active is giving you service and information before you know you will need them. Why? Because we know you will need them, okay? So we built a citizen club, we called it Digi Tel Aviv City Card, Smart Card, with a lot of target information. For example, your street will be closed due to construction work, only the citizens who are actually living in the street will get this text message, okay? And if there are fireworks in the Independence Days, only the citizens who are actually living near the nearest fireworks in the neighborhood will get this text message, okay? And for example, if you have to register your child to preschool, kindergarten, okay? So only the parents has to register their child to the preschool will get text message, SMS or email. Why? Because we know that they have to register their child. We have the data. So why do we have to wait for them to come to the municipality or to go online? They are getting it at 6 a.m., but only if they have a digital card. If they don't have a digital card, they will have to do it differently, okay? And if we want to invite one neighborhood to talk with us or to ask them questions, we can send it only to the citizens who are actually living in the neighborhood, not other else won't get it. Okay, so it's a powerful tool, very, very powerful tool. So you are asking yourself why these citizens give us their email, their mobile phone, their habits, and we know a lot of things about it. Why do they give us? Because my friend said here about trust. They don't trust us or us. Do you remember what they said about us, okay? They give us because we are giving them great benefits, free benefits. For example, free yoga on the top of the roof of the municipality every week, okay? Running groups around all the city, free. For digital card holders, if you don't have a digital card, you won't get it. Digital card, it's free. As a citizen, you can get only the citizens. And Zumba lessons in the municipality itself. After the workers are going home, people are coming to dance in the municipality, not in the other place, okay? And Tel Aviv dollar, if you have a dog in Tel Aviv, your life is great. Why? Because you have a DigiDog, the card for the dogs. And we invited only citizens which have a dog to a city, to a movie with their dog in the cinema. Think about all the dogs that were in the theater with the child, okay? We have the data. We as a municipality know exactly when do you have, if you have a dog, so why not combining and invited only these people, okay? And the main idea is bringing people to the municipality itself in order to change their mind, okay? And today, in this evening, if there are tickets in all the theaters in Tel Aviv, we are sending last-minute tickets in noon. You come to the municipality, half a price, you're getting discounts, okay? From all the theaters in Tel Aviv, 15 minutes, all the theaters are full. And if you want to go to the beach and you want this chair and this umbrella, you will pay only 200 or 200 rubles and not 2,000 rubles if you have a digital card. Okay, so for conclusion, this is the main idea in order to engage citizens. Okay, for example, what I want to show you, we made a project. We took all of our rooms, empty room of the municipality across all of the municipality, and we can give it today to citizens to rent it, to use it for very, very low price, for a birthday party for the family or something like that, very, very in a well way. But the most important thing is how we are doing it. The workers are doing it. It's not technology. What I've shown you here, it's not about technology. Okay, it's about 300 workers in the municipality that, addition to their job, putting information for citizens, okay, from all over these silos. This is the main tool of digital. Thank you.
Wow. I thought it's something very Russian specific for, for citizens, those who are happy to be quiet, and those not a lot of them who are unhappy to be vocal. But looks like in Tel Aviv it's quite the same situation. I wonder whether it's the same in Barcelona. And when we talk about smart cities, Barcelona is the pioneer of smart cities. It's a benchmark to me. I remember, I think 4 years ago at the same forum, everybody was talking about Barcelona, 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 and Moscow was like trying to copy a lot of digital things from Barcelona. And I'm really honored, Francesca, to pass the presentation to you. You've been introduced to me as a guru of smart cities. Please share with us your experience of how communication with citizens, dialogue with citizens help build a greater Barcelona.
Thank you very much. Is this working? Hello? Hello? Yeah. Hi, everybody. And thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And thanks for the invitation, and lovely to share the panel. So let me start by saying very clearly, in Barcelona, we are in the second generation of smart city deployment, I would say. We started deploying the smart city a long time ago. We are super smart as in terms of infrastructure, technology. We have 500 square meter of fiber. We have sensor network, which is pervasive in the city. We do big data analysis, and we use technology in a very intensive way. But we understood that the smart city, or a city that is actually working well for its citizen, cannot be done from a technology push way. Basically, you cannot start with technology first and then think what kind of problems I want to solve with the technology, but you have to radically revert it and start with citizen first and citizen need first and the big cities challenges that we have, and then only after think, do we need technology to solve those problems? And if we need technology, what kind of technology we can design that really serve the people, how it will be governed, and how we can really maximize the way we use data and information for decision making and for the delivery of public services. It sounds like a small change, but it's a very big change. So we call our new strategy, which is Barcelona Digital City, a smart city from the ground up with citizens. And I've been appointed Chief Innovation and Technology Officer. I'm in the government, and we have created, in order to drive this change, a Mayor Committee for Digital Innovation, which is basically having to align all these silos that were described before that work in the administration as parallel universes, all the different departments with their agenda, have to align them towards a synergic direction. And the first thing that we realized was that actually we don't need to change citizens. We don't need to change the behavior of citizens. We need to first start changing governments. And this is what our citizens ask. So we have a broad strategy that we actually built together with the citizens. I have engaged in a large process of consultation, co-design, methodology, and very much citizens being part of the creation of this government strategy. And the main parts are three. One is transforming government to make it better for the people, which means, against corruption, digital transformation, working to open data, to change procurement, to do all the things that government does, but that needs to be very much improved with a strong data strategy that I will tell you about later. And then, of course, the digital innovation, which is after you have changed government and you use technology and urban technology to improve the city, how you can leverage innovation and how you can do it together with the talent and ecosystem that you have in the city. And finally, empowerment of citizens. That's not just communication, but it's about thinking about the future of education and the future of work, and also social inclusion, which is a very big part of this, because we are not building technology for the elite, but we really want to reach out to people that don't have the possibility to participate and that need this transformation the most. So inclusive technology is also a very big part of what we do. So cities have really large-scale problems, but also lots of policy challenges that we want to solve. For instance, a big focus in Barcelona now is affordable housing for people, which I've seen you have a big project here in Moscow. That's very interesting. And creating affordable housing and enhancing that right to the house as one principle of citizenship. Of course, healthcare that needs to be improved, and the public healthcare that needs to work for everybody. Sustainable mobility, which is a very big focus in our government. We have increased the number of pedestrian spaces. We have a big plan for urban planning that's called super blocks, that create blocks where cities with car cannot enter, to give more green spaces and spaces for citizens to enjoy their city better, and of course to fight climate change and CO2 emission, which is and pollution, which is becoming really hard problem in cities. And then energy transition, which is another big challenge that we have to solve. And in Barcelona, we are creating a municipal energy operator to create renewable energy for the future. So these are the kind of problems and the kind of focus on the smart city agenda. It's not technology. Technology only come after as one of the tools and infrastructure that we have, but the focus is on the challenges and the citizen needs first. So in this view, basically the smart city agenda is not just a top-down privatized smart city where it is just a platform for vendors, but it becomes also a bottom-up city where a lot of the projects that, you know, startups, social innovators, citizens themselves are doing to innovate should be integrated into this holistic vision. And cities are the place to bridge the gap between the top-down and the bottom-up. And that's where we have to understand that the smart city is this kind of vision and not just big technology companies that sell their products. How do we transform government? And before Tel Aviv talked about their digital transformation strategy. Also here, technology is the least of the problem, right? I mean, if we think about what are the things that need to be transformed, for instance, procurement is a big focus for us. We are transforming procurement in a way that we are inserting clauses in the contract we do about sustainability, about gender, about labor standards, but also about innovation. And we are investing in like innovation funds in order to develop our ecosystem, but also really improve the way we buy technology. So we have a new code of conduct to buy technology. And at the moment, we're really focusing on open standards, open source software, interoperability, and also mandate data ownership so that when we buy services for our citizens and we invest public money, we are sure that the information and critical data stay with the city and with the citizen. So it is much about organizational change and cultural change, much more than technology. I would like to focus on democratic participation. That's the core of this panel. So in Barcelona, we have built a public, sovereign, decentralized digital infrastructure for democracy. That's Decidim Barcelona. And why we've done that? It was not only to engage citizens, it's because democratic systems haven't changed for 200 years. And we have a crisis of representative democracy in Europe. So people are asking us to change. And also democratic parties, parliament, party manifesto haven't been changed, although we see a big transformation in society and in technology. So we need to design new democratic institutions that are more open, experimental, and that can really work with collective intelligence of citizens. And that's why we have designed Decidim Barcelona. That's a place where people can engage in large-scale democratic participation, propose their initiative, citizen initiative, propose their ideas for the policy planning, and basically create democracy together with government. We've done it open source and it's auditable, so everybody can see what kind of code we use, and even in online democratic voting, they can check that the voting is correct. We are running 11 participatory projects at the moment in culture, mobility, participatory budgeting, and engaging citizens in the day-to-day of their priorities. One important case study for us was how citizens participated in the creation of government agenda. More than 40,000 citizens engaged in something that's usually very bureaucratic. It's not sexy at all, which is how do you build a government agenda? But we explain to citizens, and that's the hybrid online and offline participation, that what government do is about their life. We are deciding about how to spend collective resources, what are the projects that may affect their life, and so basically we started engaging with citizen assemblies and then filtering a lot of the proposal through our online platform. Over 70% of the proposal of the citizens are now our plan, our government plan, and we see that here we have like economic agenda, transition, ecologic transition, good government, and all the different projects that we're implementing. And here you can see the territorial scales, so we do really social inclusion, so all the territories in Barcelona, also the ones that have more problems, are engaged in this participation process. We use visualization not only because data has to look good, but because it's very important for citizens to learn. So this is not how social media, you interact in a very fast way, you just express your opinion. This is about creating knowledge and sharing knowledge, and it's about understanding complex issues. So visualization is a part of learning and understanding with citizens what's happening, so that citizens can really be part of the decision-making process. We're also opening up participatory budgeting, and we're running experiment on that. And we have a very advanced tool which is against corruption in government. That's a really big problem. That's why we've been electing to fight corruption in government. And we have a whistleblower tool that's based on encryption infrastructure for anonymity. And people can denounce corruption in the city hall and also from everybody, citizens. We're also opening up lots of information as other cities are doing, and everything is published on our open data portal with APIs for developers that can build on top of that. For us, the data strategy is very important. We are rethinking data to build city data commons, so data as a common resource, as a public resource, and we are using, of course, privacy, ethics in the innovation that we do in the city, and using data as a leverage for everything that government do. This is our schema of how we are engaging with public companies, energy, transport, mobility, how we are creating decentralized infrastructure for citizen data as well, and how we are mixing open government data, private data, and citizen data as a common good to be leveraged to engage developers and innovators to build new services for the city. And this is our open urban platform, which is Centillo. It's all open source. We use it to make our city more effective, garbage, parking spots, and all of that. And we are now in the process of creating a data analytics office to use this data for decision making. This is a very interesting project we are now running. It's a European project. It's about using blockchain to give people ownership of their personal data. We do not want to create smart cities that are panopticon, like big brothers. So it's important to tell citizens, this is your data, you can own your data, but you can also share it with government to improve the city and make public services better. And then finally, with all of this, we want to create an ecosystem that on top of the data and public data infrastructure can build next generation collaborative economy platforms made in Europe that can compete with big giants, but also which have very big social impact. That's what we really care about. And of course, leveraging the talent of all the startups, the innovators, the maker spaces to do that together with us. Finally, we cannot do anything if we don't think about inclusion, empowerment, the future of work. We are in an era of automation of labor, so there will be lots of, maybe it's the first industrial generation that will destroy more jobs than what it creates. So we have to reinvent the future of work, and we have public maker spaces like Fab Labs that work with secondary schools to learn the new skills of the robot economy, digital fabrication, programming, and also creative skills like arts and creativity. And that's what we are doing there. And also being experimental in government, which is my final point. If you get this right and you really connect all the dots, then you can start building the experiments for future policies that will really renew cities and governments. For instance, how to create basic income schemes using cryptocurrency. This is something we're running now in Barcelona. And basically, we need to build this smart city and prototype future policies together with citizens from the ground up. And this is the big challenge that we are facing for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Francesca. It's really breathtaking. Each slide was an hour to spend on. And now I'm turning to Jeff Mulgan. Nesta earlier this year published a paper called "Governing with Collective Intelligence," where you analyze different platforms that cities use. I understand it's a big paper and a huge research. Can you please tell us shortly the main findings and which projects you consider the most successful?
Okay, maybe I can stand up.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I fall asleep if I sit down, so this is for my own sake to stand up. I think I probably won't use the slides and may just talk. My very first job was in the city government of London, and when we talked about communication, that meant producing little magazines to send to every citizen, 5 minutes on the evening news, and if citizens responded, this was quite annoying. Always citizen feedback disrupted the smooth running of the city, and the more expert the citizens were, the more disruptive and annoying they were. That, I slightly caricature, that was the ethos of the city bureaucracy. I think we are now going through a transition to a very different vision of the smart city. And what I want to say very much echoes what Francesca said. And it really is about how does the city think? How does it mobilize all of its thinking resources to solve problems, to meet needs, to thrive as a city? And what I'll do is a minute and a half each, or 2 minutes, on 4 themes which I think make this real and practical, but also challenging for cities, and quite different from the smart city agenda of the last 20 or 30 years, which has mainly been about hardware and technology and not about the actual effective intelligence of the system. So the first theme is really one which you talked about, that you've all talked about. How do you use and find the most relevant data for the city? Some of that will be the data trapped in the silos of the bureaucracy. How do you make that open, machine readable, usable? More and more, though, it will be data generated by citizens. We've for 10 years been having various platforms so citizens observe where there's a broken infrastructure, a broken streetlight, an abandoned car. In Indonesia, we have very good examples of citizens generating data about floods. Many cities do it on air quality. So you integrate the official data with citizen-generated data. And increasingly, I think we also need to tie in commercial data. We are building a prototype observatory on the labor market for cities. So within any city, you can know in real time what are the vacancies, what skills do they need, what do they pay. So that can be used by job seekers or employers or the city, but that usually requires getting commercial data sets combined with the public data sets, combined with citizen input. But the dream is essentially a city which can see in real time what is happening on the things which matter most, some of which won't be measured at all, like isolation of the elderly is usually not measured at all, but is a really important phenomenon, and some of it's quite sensitive. So in London, we are now gathering data from blood tests in all the main hospitals in order to predict who is likely to come into hospital in the next year or two, in order to prevent them having a condition. Right. That brings big issues of privacy, but also huge potential gains. Yeah. The second stream really is how do you tap the brain power of the city to solve problems? And we have now had many years of experiment with platforms to pose challenges, open innovation platforms. We run one at Nesta called challenges.org, which is used by quite a few cities and national governments, where you post a problem and really allow anyone to take part in solving that problem. Our experience is those processes work best if you break them into stages, if you have both an online and an offline element, if you help the innovators work very closely with the officials in the city, because usually the best ideas are not fully grown. They need help, they need cultivating, and often then they need trialing in areas of the city turned into laboratories and test beds. Again, as Francesca said, whether it's for welfare, new models of transport, new models of healthcare. The third stream then is how do you open up decision-making in the city to citizens. Francesca helped lead a project which Nesta was part of called Descent, which developed open source tools for democracy in cities, used I think in 15 cities now in Europe, where citizens can propose ideas, comment on ideas, and vote. In Paris, for example, 100 million euros is now in participatory budgeting, allocations for each neighborhood, particularly poorer neighborhoods, and 10 million euros for school children to allocate, so they learn the habits of being active citizens. And the key there is whether you can tap into not just the opinions of citizens, but also their knowledge, and whether the processes are educative, whether taking part in these processes leaves people better able to understand other people's views and not just shout at them like in a Facebook filter bubble. And that leads really to the final point. The biggest failure of the smart cities rhetoric, which has now been around for 30 years, is that you could implement all of those things and not leave your citizens any smarter at all. To my mind, the only credible smart city agenda is one which leaves people smarter, better able to govern their own lives. And here, we have a huge challenge which was talked about in the session just before this. We know a lot about the likely skills needs of 10 years' time, 20 years' time, as new waves of automation run through the economy. Young people will need creativity, problem-solving skills, they'll need to know how to work in teams, they'll need both deep knowledge of things like digital technology, but also horizontal knowledge, ability to be very adaptable. And yet the education systems in all the great cities of the world have hardly adapted to this at all. They teach informal traditional pedagogy, learning is individual, it's abstract, not practical, it has almost no real-life problem-solving element at all. So it's vital that we re-engineer our education system to be ready for the future. That means linking up primary and secondary schools to the sort of maker spaces Barcelona has, China is funding on a large scale, we have in the UK too. It means opening up the skills of digital making, coding, making robots, websites, apps, to children from 6 onwards, which means getting business engaged in allowing their staff to volunteer because the teachers don't usually have the skills. And finally, it means building mass capability in social change. Here, the city of Seoul, I think, is a good example. I chair an advisory committee for the mayor in Seoul. It's a very digitally advanced city, even as advanced as Barcelona. But they're also trying to open up all the tools of data to civil society, a big data academy, programs to teach community organizations, citizens to understand how do you make change, how do you use the new tools, how do you raise money, how do you influence power, because without that mass capability and confidence, we may have smart hardware, which can move energy and transport around our city more efficiently, but the citizens will just be observers on processes over which they have no control. So this for me is the agenda of collective intelligence. Let me just do one slide. No, okay. It is, I think, an emergent one. Actually, I haven't got anything there. But my shameless bit of marketing is that later this year this book comes out which brings together many of these experiences from governments, cities, businesses, and science. And it is, say, in some ways a very simple question: how do you think better? How does a city think? How does an administration think? And the answers are very different from 5 or 10 years ago, and they're much more exciting because they really are about tapping the real, often untapped value of data, of citizen brain power, citizen ability to make decisions, and it's all about connecting up the elements of observation, analysis, prediction, memory, and creativity into something more, just as happens within each of your brains, where it's your ability to combine those things which makes you smart. And there's no reason why the same shouldn't be true of cities. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Mr. Malgan mentioned in his speech the Descent project. As far as I understand, Helsinki administration used this platform, but it's also, as far as I know, a pretty old project. Natalia, maybe you'll tell us something about new things, new platforms that Helsinki uses. And we're a little bit out of time, but please don't be worried. We're not in a rush. Use as much time as you want, and here's the clicker. Thanks.
Hello, everybody. Я бы хотела сначала коллеги вас поприветствовать.
I would like to speak you, to welcome you in Russian. I'm glad to be here. Yes, so 100 years ago, I graduated this university, so ages ago, and Moscow was different. Now it's an incredibly beautiful city.
Which is innovation unit of Helsinki municipality. So we are responsible for the building of the smart city. We believe that a single tool, a single method, or a single mechanism, no matter how sophisticated or advanced technically it is, it doesn't help, or it cannot solve the issue of the collaboration and cooperation between citizens and business. So the collaboration and communication is enabled by multiple interconnected elements that form ecosystem for the smart city. And there are several programs financed by the city, by the Commission, EU, Horizon 2020, by different organizations. And there are also several organizations that are in charge of the smart city building. And they developed inside and share later on methodology and methods that helps to bring together all these three main types of stakeholder: citizens, officials, municipality, and business. And I will tell you today about some good examples that we already have made.
No?
Yes.
Oh.
So, Helsinki district Kalasatama is used to be an old fishing harbor, and since the mid of 19th century. And in year 2008, the harbor has been moved to the east of the Helsinki, and then the place was emptied, and there is now this residential area building, constructions basically. So in 2012, city decided to make from this district a prototype, or actually the test bed, testing place for smart city smart services. So whatever is and it could be later, the best services and best examples could be later, they are already scaled out, and they already copied for different districts of Helsinki. But this is our primary testing laboratory for the smart city. There are at the moment 3,000 people living there. It's quite hard to live there because it's in the middle of construction, but they are extremely motivated. They are participating in all service development and tasting and in all kind of programs. And the slogan of the name of the program that actually run this piloting is Fiksu Kalasatami, which means from Finnish language, Fiksu on Finnish language means smart. And the slogan of the program is 1 more hour per day, which put clear focus on the citizens' needs and interests. So the development of Helsinki smart city and smart district comes from citizens. It's very much citizens focused and centered. So one of the methodology that we have created and employed is living clubs. This is kind of open innovation methodology that ensures that user involves into the new service development from actually very beginning. And it's real place, real buildings, real lab, and different organizations that are kind of making all kind of tests in this living club. At the moment we have 2 living clubs in Kalasatama area. Ready is the living club. It's our main construction company who is building the area. They have some demonstration showrooms, real apartments, copy of apartments there, and there are always workshops and meetings there. And Fiksu Living Club is our living club. Is not maybe that attractive and impressive, but it's the central place to meet business, municipality, and citizens. There are different programs that help to finance and help to support these activities, but basically this is very, very much working and active mechanism to put together these 3 types of the stakeholders. There are a club of innovators in Smart Kalasatama. So it's a real club. They have 4 times or more times in a year, they have these meetings. And they have their own agenda. How do they live? What do they do? Their own program. but basically they very often use this living club premises, and they use our help. This club includes, comprised of different representatives of startups, small and medium enterprises, big companies, municipalities there, and citizens also. As I said, citizens are extremely motivated and very active in this district. Agile piloting. This is a methodology to make, if we make some mistake, it's better to make them when there were little investment and little development done. So basically, this is program is buying from business different kind of pilots from 1 to 8,000 euro per each, and citizens immediately test that, and they provide feedback, and based on this feedback, there is improvement, or we even can close some pilot, or we can suggest something else. But this is half a year real life testing of all smart services that business want to offer us. There was about 130 offers from 2 years ago it started, so it's about, we have received 130 offers and already bought from 15 to 20 different pilots, and they are at the moment, some of the piloting already done, some of the pilots are active right now. So what we already accomplished is FlexTila is the shared usage of the public and private spaces, this kind of digital system based on smart locks. It works, and there are commercial software, and it's quite successfully working now and developing. Toop, this is a system that it can be integrated to your calendar, and you say in which places when you have to be during the day. It builds your route primarily using public transportation, including my favorite electrical cars, and you can build the route and you can pay once. So it's like one payment transaction done, mobile payment for all of these vehicles that you are using during the day. Then smart trash is it's actually also already product. Sensors, liters for garbage, it's a waste management system, and people can report the condition. For example, if there is something wrong or it's overflow or something like that, then they can report using the mobile applications that there is something wrong with the litter. Nifty Neighbors, it's map-based local web service that are used for example, crowdfunding if citizens want to collect money or if they want to do something together. EMU, this is our system of waste management. Another system, it's underground pipes. When separated waste goes with the speed of 70 km per hour to some collection points. And how do we use it now? We use data to analyze what type of garbage people, how much they produce, and it helps a lot to plan logistics for these waste management systems. At the moment, this year, just a couple of months ago, we have bought several other pilots. Kotihili is it's kind of data from carbon footprint, real life, plus people behavior and habits and choice. So this combined, it's analysis based on combined data of that. InnoGreen is the green walls from some plants outside. Then Alvedo is a very interesting project. You probably also have the sun panels in many houses on the top, and Alvedo is how citizens should share revenues from these sun panels, what they personally can get. Park Isarko is, we have heating poles for each car for the winter time. Now we transform them to the charging poles. And Rent-a-Park is shared usage of the parking spaces. This is also it's getting to be a problem in Helsinki as well, this parking. So, and now about one application that is, we mentioned here Descent. We had a pilot, we had lesson learned based on that, and based on these lessons, use cases, feedback, we have created, or about to release, it will be released fully in 2018. Now it's under active development and piloting applications, Helsinki App. Helsinki App is mobile application, map-based, And it's kind of so there are several use cases. Basically, very important thing is that, in a nutshell, it's map-based service, and you can choose the place, area, and you can do something in this area. The main functionalities are you create profile. What are you interested? Where you would like to go? What are your interest preferences? And you can get notifications from city, from other places, and you can also give feedback. This is very, very simple to explain. For example, if I'm walking outside and I can see that traffic sign is broken or something like that, some problems, I can immediately report this problem. It goes to the municipality, city, and the most important, that I can follow the problem. What has been done, how it is handled. And also I can check how other reports are handled from other people. And actually, in many places there are some either place of interest, or, for example, I can get notification or invitation based on my profile to certain events. It's just about to connect people, different businesses and organizations, and municipality. I also receive important notifications from the city, so I know exactly what are they doing in this area, what are the plans. I can participate in life of the Helsinki. For example, they can send the questionnaire, what would be the name of this bridge? And I can vote, or I can suggest, or any other questions that I can, they are interested to know from the citizens. So basically, in sum, I would like to say that technology doesn't matter. I mean, everything can be done. The main thing is to motivate business, citizens, and officials to use this technology, or to use some tools or places, and it often requires face-to-face meeting, different kind of workshops, co-creation workshops. Basically, that's what we are doing most of our time. Thanks.
Thank you, Natalia. Wow, it's been an eye-opening session, at least for me, and looks like we're living in a new reality indeed. Thank you, our distinguished speakers, for your time. It's a pleasure to be your host and to meet you. And for the remaining, I'm telling everybody that in 5 minutes in this hall, in Seoul Hall, we'll have a new section entitled Aqua est Vita, excuse me my Latin, the role of the river in the modern megapolises. Thank you, everyone.